He's never fought us. Not us united.
Die. Oh! I can so see that. That's it. Welcome to the Justice League Rewatch as we go through the Fury arc, or as I like to call, the best way to depict feminism in modern pop culture. I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, dude?
I'm doing pretty good, and I cannot agree with your thesis statement more.
Like, because here's the thing. The way this is shown in modern stuff is that the woman is always right and men are always evil. In this one, it's like even Hawkgirl's like, yeah, no, that's not right. I can't believe you would basically lump all men just because you went through a horrible experience in the middle of a war.
Yeah.
And then her life was later saved, we find this out in episode 2, by a man. Even Hippolyta admits that. She's like, oh no, you were saved by a man.
Yeah, that's kind of like, I've never really talked about this, but like, that's kind of the portion of like the Wonder Woman mythology that I always found really cringy. Like, how like, oh, man's world, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm sorry, but like women have had enough as much of a contribution to how crappy society is as men have.
Because they make up 50% of the population, so.
Exactly.
But anyway, going back onto this episode, what's cool is that, yeah, it shows both sides of the argument, and it shows that Arisha has her reasons for thinking that way, and she has very legitimate reasons for thinking that way, but it doesn't just say she's right, or to a certain degree she's a little extreme, but men are horrible. It doesn't do that.
Yeah, like if she was trying to go after like the people or even the country that did this to her, that might be a little more understandable. But
that's a completely different story then.
Yeah, you know.
But it's real, and again, this is why it's good that we're rewatching content, because really what this does, it reminds you back to a time when this was done well. Because Nick, you had to watch Captain Marvel. Compare this to Captain Marvel.
Frickin' Shakespeare.
Yes. Well, there's a lot of reasons why this show is better than Captain Marvel, but
for one thing, it's not Captain Marvel. That alone makes it the best.
That's
thing
true.
Ever.
But this is also in line with why I love the Wonder Woman 1 movie as opposed to Wonder Woman 2, because Wonder Woman 1 was the men were still useful, even though you have a woman that's a verifiable goddess, but she still needs they still play an equal part in her journey, where in Wonder Woman 1984, it was men are inept, stupid people.
Unless you're unless you're the ghost of Steve Trevor, in which case...
Who's inhabiting the body of an LGBTQ man.
I'm sorry. It's just that whole thing just gets worse the more you
the more you think about it, it just gets worse. But
also the fact that like she had sex with the body against the body's will.
Yeah,
I think there's a word for that we're not going to repeat.
Let me put it this way: it almost became a Wonder Woman story.
It rhymes with grape.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can use violation. How's that? That's what I always do. But again, because here's the thing, people, and I know Nick is definitely going to agree with me on this. So one of the arguments that SJWs normally give is that this stuff has always been woke. Now, here's the thing about it. Yes, there have been political subtext and stuff, but take this episode, for instance. They showed you essentially they showed you both sides of an argument, showed that one side has their own reasons for believing a certain way, and that legitimate reasons, by the way. It didn't just say, okay, so this person's evil, here's why they're evil. It's just she's reacting to, it's like a nature versus nurture thing. It has more nuance than modern writers, because modern writers write it as if this is the way it is. You have to think about it this way. And if you don't think about it this way, you're a bigot and we don't want you consuming our content.
Yeah, it just the problem is people are like, oh, okay, then we'll create our own content. No, you can't do that. You can't earn $3.5 million. No, how dare you?
I know. Oh my gosh, this comic doesn't exist, even though it's right there in my short box. Which, by the way, it's actually a really good book. I plan on doing a spoiler-free review. A spoiler review, because for some reason I just did the spoiler-free and just forgot about it. But I'm gonna do another review about it. That's how good it is. But anyway.
By the way, we're talking about Eric July's Esam in case people don't realize it.
Oh, yeah. The comic that doesn't exist. But it's kind of funny is one of the guys on Wes's Thinking Critical panel, he just got in the mail on the stream. So he's opening it. He's smelling it. He's like turning it over. He's like, and then everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? And then he goes, I don't know. Somehow this comic that doesn't exist showed up at my door. But anyway, back to this. And that's the thing. It's like they'll always say comics have always been political, but they forget the very, very, very important distinction. Like with the X-Men, Stan Lee has gone on credit and said, I didn't really intend for the X-Men when I wrote them to become this symbol for racism. It just grew into that. But the way they did the X-Men is it grew to a point where anyone that feels othered in any way, whether or not you're LGBTQ, you're Black, you're Asian, whatever, it doesn't matter. You're conservative, you're liberal, it doesn't matter. If you felt out of place and ostracized by society for any reason, you can identify with the struggles of the X-Men. That's why I have always maintained the X-Men are the gold standard not nowadays, but they are the gold standard of addressing social justice issues in comics. You make it so you generalize the issue so everyone can identify with it.
Yeah, that's kind of one thing I've never really agreed about, like kind of like the modern interpretation of X-Men, because like growing up, I always kind of assumed X-Men might have been a comment on racial injustice. I think that was more Claremont, more of a Claremont kind of thing. He brought that in. But I always felt like even if that was like kind of like the original intention, X-Men is always a substitute for any sort of intolerance or injustice. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the X-Men equals gay thing really didn't come in until X2, like X2 X-Men United. Yeah. Like they kind of like and by the way, okay, so for those who don't know, there is a scene in X2 that is very, very much meant to be like a coming out scene.
Oh, yeah, like, absolutely.
Like they use phrases like, have you tried not being a mutant? How long have you known? Like they use all the same phrases.
The family ostracizes him as soon as he finds out he's a mutant.
The scene is literally like set up like a coming out scene. And honestly, it's fine.
Which, if you want that if that's the way you personally interpret the X-Men, more power to you, because yeah, 100% you can do that.
I never had a problem with this. Like, I literally saw that movie in theaters when it came out, you know. I never had a problem.
Are you kidding me? I love X2.
Oh, you know I'm a fan of that movie.
That's one of the few comic book movies that objectively you can't hate. I'm sorry, that's just the way it works. But going back to Justice League, that's where it links to this, because I rewatched it today, those 2 episodes, and I was like, it actually got me kind of emotional, because I'm like, I miss when content was like this, because again, you even have Wonder Woman having doubts, and then even Hawkgirl's like, don't knock it till you try it, sister, which I'm like, that could be taken very innuendo-ly, but besides the point.
Well, getting knocked is kind of well, depending on your intentions, that's kind of like what you're trying not to do.
Yeah, but the thing is that you have all these occasions where, by the way, Wonder Woman and Hawkgirl, 2 very capable female superheroes, even though they're as of yet the only 2 female superheroes in the Justice League. That will change on Unlimited. But my point is, again, and by the way, it's also works fantastic as a Wonder Woman centric episode. Every week, I like to outline which character this show hyper focuses on. So that's why I brought that up. But it's like this basically directly challenges, to your point, Nick, earlier, the Amazons' like hatred toward men in the comics. Because here's the thing. Even Hippolyta in this show, this is one of the things I like about this show. She's not like men are evil or anything like that. She's just like, yeah, there's no reason for you to hate men. In fact, she buried the man who saved Arisia on Themyscira, the first man to be buried on Themyscira.
The only man.
The only.
Like that is such a high honor.
That's on the equivalent of Ra's al Ghul calling Tim Drake the detective.
Yeah,
maybe a little higher, but you get what I'm trying to say.
That's on the level of Darkseid forswearing Kara Zor-El
to a non-powered man. That's what makes that scene so cool.
I love that scene so much.
We're gonna get real quick. The thing that makes that scene so cool is that it's if it's just Superman or Wonder Woman facing down Darkseid like that, guess what? It loses its effect. It's Batman. The Darkseid can snap his head off like this, but Batman just stands his ground and says, "Okay, you're gonna let her go, or I blow up your planet. Your choice, dude. Either way, it's fine with me."
Yeah,
and plus you have Kevin Conroy just being awesome. R.I.P.
That is anyway. I'm sorry. That is the most Batman moment ever.
Oh yes, it's exactly the way it was in the comics. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, Jeff Loeb, I may have disagreed with a lot of your takes on comic books, but dude, you nailed it.
Also, the best part, he actually kept his word and he made no move against Supergirl. But it didn't say anything about Superman.
No, but also what makes that thing there is that there are a few panels that nail Batman so well, for a few storylines or storyline moments, as that moment right there. Because that's 100% a Batman thing. You're right, where he just faces down Darkseid and goes, "You do this, or I'm going to nuke the planet." And guess what? Darkseid's like, "Okay, if it were the Amazon or the Kryptonian, I wouldn't believe them, but you, I know, will go through with it."
He's like, "Dude, like, damn, bro, I thought I went hard, but holy crap!"
You mess with. That's the thing about Batman. Yes, he supposedly has the no killing rule, which he doesn't, but if you mess with Batman, it will not go well for you, even if you are a god.
Yeah, you don't mess with the GD Batman.
Yes, exactly. But anyway, but also Batman's a badass in this as well. It's really cool. And I also liked, but so it's kind of funny is that they have a character on Arisia's team that at first I thought was Katana, but it's not her. And I'm like, "Oh, it's Katana." And then she started calling her another name. I'm pulling up the wiki so I can get the person's name. It is, hang on, I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, it is Sukuri.
Okay.
And actually, according to one of the people behind this episode, it was revealed. They didn't show it in the episode, so I'm like, what's the point of mentioning it? But it's just, Sukuri was in love with Arisia. It was more than her sidekick and would have followed her anywhere. So I guess, okay, you didn't show it in the episode, but okay, fine.
Yeah, like speaking of helpers, like Star Sapphire was like, I don't know, bro.
Yeah, and I love Star Sapphire in this. This is the older Star Sapphire where it's not like the Ring of Love, because there was the Ring of Love. She obviously would not be doing this because Starfire is actually a good guy. But besides the point, I like this. This is really cool. And I like her with the accent, though. It's actually works really well.
I just love the moment where she's like, "I love sapphires."
Oh, yeah. So, fun fact. So this episode, his name is Fury. It's based on 2 DC Comics characters. The first version was Hippolyta Lyta Trevor, who was the daughter of Golden Age Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, back before that was creepy. And it was also the idea that, remember, Darkseid's like elite guard are the female Furies, an all-female like special ops unit of Apocalypse that are like so badass. And also, it's kind of interestingly enough, in Earth 2, the new 52 series, Wonder Woman's daughter with Steppenwolf is named Fury, and then it's later revealed that she's actually Donna Troy. which I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that's interesting. That's really cool. I like that. But
Hmm.
okay, so Nick, the audience has heard me talk enough about this episode. Go crazy.
Okay, so yeah, like you said, I really enjoy how, and honestly, you saw this a lot with shows back in the day. How much of a deft hand they handled kind of like the politics of the situation. Like not only is it handled in a very mature manner, it's also handled in a way that kids can easily understand. I feel like it's something that's kind of lost in today's kind of mix. I've said this so many times. The difference between like messaging now and messaging then is really subtlety, or really the lack thereof in most modern stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just yeah, politics aside, this was just honestly a good solid two-parter.
Oh yeah, this is one of the best ones that we've watched so far, I think.
Oh yeah, you trust me. This one will be getting high marks for me. You'll see. I really like kind of like the cliffhanger where it's like, oh, it's only affecting the men. Oh, that was a great.
That was a fantastic cliffhanger. I was like, well done. That was fantastic. That's the way you do a cliffhanger. Yeah, what's up,
Jared? You're gonna hate me for what I'm about to say, but there's a Wonder Bat moment
in show. This. And once again, no, it's not.
When the truck is going towards Diana, Bruce doesn't even think, and he leaps and gets her out of the way.
She's a teammate. He would do that to Bruce. He would do that to Wally if he were just standing in the middle of a road.
It's Wonder Woman. She can take that. Trust me. Like, he has no reason to do that. He just did it out of care. Trust me. He knew.
But here's the thing, though. Here's why that scene is actually stupid. She would just stand there and take it, and I highly doubt Bruce tackling her is gonna move her an inch because he's a man and she's Wonder Woman.
But Bruce is tackling her.
I had to. But
I'm pointing out every Wonder Bat moment we.
And by the way, dude.
Oh, I'm having so much fun.
Yeah, I know you are, even though we have a truce on this channel specifically. Do I need to break out the clip?
You don't need to escalate the situation, bro. I said.
I like how I now have something to shut you up completely. I like that. This is so
no. I've said what I wanted to say. We discussed it. Now we can move on. There's no need to escalate the situation, brother.
Here's another interesting part of trivia. Arisa's name is thought to be meant to be a female version of Ares, classic Wonder Woman villain.
I could see that.
Yeah, but I gotta agree with you, dude. This was fantastic. As a Wonder Woman fan, specifically, because I'm like one of the few people that reads her comics and is a big fan of the character. Yeah, this 100% nails it. And I like how, again, it challenges that more like classical interpretation of the Amazons where they hate men. It's like, no, you can have a distrust for them because of what happened to them in the past. Because if you read the Amazon lore, again, they have a reason to feel this way. But it's like, here's the thing. I get the feeling that the fact that this episode is taking place after Diana's banishment, which is, by the way, that's interesting how he sends Hawkgirl with Themyscira, but it's interesting how this, I like how this, I like to think that the reason why Hippolyta was was not like men are evil is because this came after the episode where the members of the Justice League, the male members of the Justice League, put their lives on the line to protect Themyscira.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
There's
think
no
that's
way.
Fair. That's fair.
I mean, obviously they don't reference it, but this is just my interpretation because she changes completely. She's like, you brought men to this island, and then it was like, oh, you saved us. You're all heroes of Themyscira, and then this happened. So I like to think that she had like a paradigm change. Like, okay, it's against the law to bring men here, but not all men are bad. I saw men with all the powers in the world risk their lives to save us.
Yeah.
At a certain point, that whole men are evil thing has to go away at some point. But yeah, so I would say, okay, so Nick, how would you rate this episode out of 10?
I would give it a very, very solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, me too. Solid 9 out of 10 because this was awesome. It had good action. No moment felt like forced, or at no point did I cringe in this entire episode. We have to say that because there's a lot of shows that try to portray the same message, but they come off really cringy. I'm looking at you, Captain Marvel. But
Yeah.
at no point in this episode did I feel like I was being preached to. You know why? It showed both sides. It didn't paint one side as totally evil. Well, Arisia was evil, but my point is, it didn't show like scummy. It did. Did it kind of show scummy? It did in the beginning.
Okay. Let me just kind of cut through all this and basically say it showed that intolerance. It showed that intolerance is what's evil. Not men, not women. Intolerance is the true enemy.
Speaking of the X-Men, it shows the exact same message as the X-Men. And look,
it's almost like we all just tied everything together in a neat little bow.
Yeah, there you go. You know, it's a hashtag full circle moment for us right there. I had to. You set me up so well for that. Thank you.
But, I do not regret it.
But yeah, amazing Wonder Woman centric episode. It is so far. I think that this is my favorite arc that we've done. What do you think?
So far, yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, for that reason, by the way, beyond the fact that it's a Wonder Woman arc, but for that reason, because I always give bonus points if it can give me a message, but do it in a way that doesn't make me feel like I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
That's really it. So, thank you for watching this episode. Next week, we're doing the arc Legends, where the Justice League is transported to a world where Green Lantern's comic book superheroes are the Justice League. So it's kind of like the JSA in a way, in a sense.
I am there for it.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's Legacies, and we're approaching the end of season 1. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 arcs left.
So basically, in a month, not only will we be doing the live stream for the end of the season, but we'll also be returning to Avatar. And
doing Justice League Season 2 simultaneously.
Exactly. I'm excited.
Yeah, exactly. We just decided to do it separately this time so we can gauge interest. And I got to tell you, the interest is there for us to both do this. So no reason not to.
Exactly.
The discussion of the season finale, The Savage Time, that will be a live stream. There's no reason not to. Again, from now on, all of our season finales, whenever we discuss any show, will be a live, at least a live discussion. So on that note, everyone. Oh, by the way, so Nick, where can one find you, and what have you got coming out on the channel?
Alrighty then. So you can find me on Twitter at the Phoenix Press. YouTube, just search the same. I have Super Split Screen Bros coming out on Wednesday. As of this recording, we'll be recording that tomorrow. And then Friday Night Frenzy. The next week is going to be really crazy because we're launching Torrent Samurai number 3, and that's going to be on this channel. Live,
and I will be purchasing it live on stream, so enjoy that. I have to, because Nick's been very good to me. He's my bro. I have a standard rule where if you come on my channel, I'll also purchase a copy of your book. I'll back it just as a thank you. But with Nick, it's a little different. It's less of like a courtesy, but it's more of a willful obligation.
Yeah, and pretty much I'm pretty much honor bound when his comic book comes out. I'm gonna have to drop like $100 on his collector's edition because he's worth it.
And who knows, maybe I could launch it on your channel.
I mean, I would be open to it, but you're the bigger person, so
I'll tell you what, we'll restream it. We'll all restream it. That'll be fun.
Sure.
And speaking of which, we're still working on character designs. I'm working on really making sure the script is good and to the quality that you all deserve.
Don't rush it, brother. Don't rush it.
I'm not. I'm in no rush to get this done. That's why I'm. Plus, Dawson's I'm busy right now, so that's why the art's taking a while. But I'm fine with it because when you look at the art and character designs and you see it's that quality, I'm fine with them taking time. Absolutely.
Trust me, bro. If you just spend like with what you're doing, what you're setting up, you're looking at least a $10,000 campaign right there. Like I trust me.
Just by the art, and plus, and by the way, I made sure. This is just personal preference for me. I'm not knocking anyone that does this. The art on the cover is the art in the book too. That's just my own preference, and there will be a few like variant covers and stuff. Like I plan on the back of the book.
Why you calling me out like this, bro?
I'm not, bro. But in the back of the book, I'll have like some like bonus art by guys like Xevious, and maybe he'll do a variant cover for the chapter. It'll be really fun.
Oh, trust me, he would have no problem with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, I ever since you showed me, ever since I got that print for Screecher by Xevious, I'm like, yeah, I need to work with this person at some point because
he's an awesome dude.
Yes, he is, and he's been on the channel a bunch of times. We love having him on. So on that, I remember as far as what I'm coming out with tomorrow, I'm coming out with a short video discussion. By tomorrow, I mean as of this recording, because we're recording the Sunday, as a short video discussion talking about why Wonder Bat does not work. Speaking of Wonder Bat, Nick,
I noticed that you did not invite me onto that one.
On Wednesday, I'm releasing a review of Sheriff of Babylon by Tom King, Volume 2. Really great so far. I'm reading it right now. And on Friday, on this weekend, Nick and I are talking about why on Under Two Capes, when is gatekeeping okay? Because there are times when that could be appropriate. It depends on how you go about gatekeeping, but when is the practice justified? And by the way, the Star Wars show is on a hiatus until Ahsoka starts. So in other words, that's going to be like a Star Wars reaction show right now, just so I can like focus more on the other shows and stuff. But we got some great content coming out for you guys. Remember, okay, no movie night this week because we are going to be live stream reacting to the Batman versus Superman Dawn of Justice panel on this channel. So I figured that's good enough. We'll have everyone on. We'll be watching the panel with you guys. We'll be reacting to it. And by the way, on Friday, again, it's going to be J-Heat or Taladia. One of those two, I'm sure they'll restream it, are going to be doing the Man of Steel panel. And then on Sunday, this guy right here is going to do the Zack Snyder's Justice League panel, which if it happens, if he announces it on that panel, totally fine. The only reason why I'm not going like he's definitely going to do it is because I've been disappointed before. I'm just monitoring my expectations. Obviously, I want it to happen.
Screw that. If he doesn't announce anything, I will riot.
All right, whatever. But on that note, guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion. Hope you will show up for the next one. And stay heroic. And by the way, Hollywood, take notes. This is how you do it. Stay heroic, everyone.